Hey out there, this is Thursday, October 3rd, 2019, and it is just about 9:25 in the morning here in Northern California. And I'll get into a lot of different stuff as usual today, but I'll keep the theme pretty much as it's been, and that is how to identify tyranny and then what you can do about it. And for the most part, the vast majority of human beings have been tricked, duped for a very long time, and as to being able to clearly identify the perpetrators of tyranny and exactly what their methodology is, how they get away with tyrannizing the people. And tyranny itself has to be identified as anything that causes pain and suffering, burden, those type of things on other people. And these are tyrants that would do that. They're mean people for the most part. The establishment all worldwide would work fine. The system would work fine if humanity was not being tyrannized. This is the kicker. This is the part that really makes me nuts because there's no point. You see, there's no logic. There's no rhyme or reason. There's really no profit. These are madmen that do this sort of thing. That they're sick and twisted people. These are the rulers of the world, and the only reason they rule over the righteous, the decent people that just want to live their little lives in peace and harmony, safety, security, and freedom and prosperity, those sorts of things, and are willing that everybody around them have basically the same things. I mean, we're all individuals. We don't all want the same things. We don't all want a castle. People like small dwelling spaces because they're cozier oftentimes. So you understand that human beings, being that we are individuals and we don't have the same tastes, same likes, like they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, we can live together in harmony. And it's just that leap, that making that departure from the status quo, this current established paradigm that we're all forced to live under, and the way it is, and the factors that rule our lives that we spend the vast majority of our energy pondering, thinking about, and stressing out over. And, for example, just going out and making money and paying bills. And we've got this huge paradox. We love money. Of course, we love to pay our bills. We like money because, you take your girl out to dinner, figure it out. I mean, we're not stupid. Unless you're a liar and deny that you love paying your bills and taking your girl out to dinner. Well, God already knows your heart. So, yeah, of course, it's natural that we love money. Very natural. And we're lucky that we have a God that understands that. Because when you understand that money, for the most part, is the root, the love of money, the root of all evil, you see how we're all imbibing in this evil. We're all immersed in this game from birth. We've got this burden held over us from birth that we euphemistically refer to as a cost of living. And, well, of course, you've got a cost of living. I mean, nobody, nothing's free, and we've heard it all before. But when we look at every other creature on the face of God's green earth, we see they've got absolutely no use for money. And if they could understand it, they wouldn't want anything to do with it. They're not evil. Okay, human beings are the only ones that are evil. I mean, we could say, well, squirrels, I mean, they hoard, they store away nuts for the winter. Yeah, but they know, too, instinctively, that if they store too many nuts, they're just going to rot. It's pointless, it's futile, it's useless, it's to no avail. So why do it? But yet, human beings, we have a very strong tendency, because we love money. It's so easy of a trap to fall into. So we hoard all these nuts. And they're going to rot. I mean, God's going to let them rot. These evildoers don't have control over things. They want you to believe they do. They want you to have faith and trust that they've got it under control. So they set up a plunge protection team, and they've got it all figured out. And when they deliberately impoverish others so that you can be enriched, you understand this division of the haves and have-nots. This is all an unspoken reality that there's going to be crime, there's going to be problems induced. It's classism, it's classic feudalism, it's classic oppression. And through history, from history, what happens in every case. People are disgruntled. They want to revolt. They want to rebel. They're willing for a civil war. They're willing to die. They're not cowards. They know that the fight for freedom and security is worth it. So they're willing to do it for their children, for future generations. So all this stuff is a reality. It's unspoken. It's just like a spirit out there in this world. We know there's all this discontent, and it spurs crime. It induces crime of all types, financial desperation. Okay, we know it causes problems. And so we got all these jobs that spring up that revolve around the problem. So now the problem is embedded. Okay, it's basically engraved in stone, and it's got its own legs. And all these people, the vast majority of jobs now revolve around the problems persisting. And God help us if the problem of desperate poverty ever goes away. Do you understand? I mean, this is what these people have gotten away with. This is how we've been duped. This is how we've been cheated. This is how we've been robbed, thieved from. Do you understand? The wealth of the nation has been stolen. What is a nation? A nation is not a nation. It's not just about the real estate, the geography. A nation is the people in that nation. So the people have been robbed, you understand, of what belongs to them, what their foreparents had done, the accumulated wealth from the industrial age, whereby we can print out everything we want and need in vast excess, in a huge superfluity, okay, in a massive abundance for everybody. And if you understand even an iota, a scintilla, a modicum of capitalism regarding supply and demand principles, then you will quickly understand what I'm talking about here. It's all very simple, folks. If there's any progress and you put a couple of decades on a graph, okay, what you're going to see is your currency is going to increase in worth. You could say, well, wait a minute, what about disruptions in supply and demand? When prices have to go up because the products are dear and there's suddenly a shortage or something. Sure, you could say temporarily until the next year when, let's say, it's a crop, for example, and there's a drought or a blight or something that disrupts the supply chain. Then temporarily you might see it for a year, but then we, the people, get on the ball, and the next year you've got more than ever before because there's so many people that say, I'm willing to do this. Everybody got to, do their part here. We need more wheat. And so everybody's growing wheat, and there's a huge excess. We can't eat it all, and it rots. It goes to be livestock feed or something, right? Which isn't bad. I mean, it's never bad to have excess stuff. We could put it in a big compost heap if we get too much stuff, right? If we grow too much food. So my friends, listen, there are solutions to all of our problems. Simple. It would have been much easier even to prevent the problem in the first place. That's what's so unnerving, so difficult for a guy like me to swallow when I've had to witness this thing unfold for so long. Okay, look, America was murdered November 22nd, 1963, okay, when JFK was murdered. Okay, that's when capitalism was murdered. If we think of America and capitalism as joined at the hip, hand in glove, hand in hand, one and the same, it's just the way it is. When for free people, we demand, free markets and all this, right? We want logic to dictate our financial reality, our social, political, and economic reality. Okay, intellectualism. We want everything to make rhyme and reason, to be sensible and to make sense and say, yes, this is all good and right. This is the way to go. This is progress. Progress has this definition, not this one over here, the one we've had since that time. What, the last 56 years now? Almost. Look what we've had. We've been just going down the tube steadily. If you put it on a graph, you say, well, that's regression. There's no progress for the people at large. That wealth imbalance has grown the whole time. We haven't had capitalism. Okay, JFK, competing currency. What's wrong with a competing currency? That's capitalism. You compete. And people like JFK's currency, the U.S. Treasury notes, silver certificates, whatever you want to call them. They were just like dollars. You could mistake them if you didn't look carefully. But he had a right to do that. There was enough difference so there wasn't a patent infringement on the Federal Reserve note. This entity shouldn't have existed. Day one, okay? So on November 23rd, 1963, the Federal Reserve should have been packing their bags and getting the hell out of Dodge because there wasn't a hint of impropriety. Cui bono, who benefits? It's glaringly obvious. These are brazen murderers. These are biblical level evildoers. And they're probably all dead now, all those involved in that assassination, the takeover of America. If you look at the frogs or the pot of water analogy, hey, if you turn up the heat slowly when you're trying to cook the pot of frogs, right? I've never tried it myself, but I like the analogy. Then what happens is you kind of lull them to sleep. You know, it feels good. It's like taking a hot bath, right? So you turn up the heat gradually, and they're basically mesmerized, and they don't revolt. They don't try to jump out of the pot and say, what the hell? If I stay in here too long, I'm going to be cooked. But that's exactly what happened to the American people. We were plunked in the pot. That was the tricky part, because the frog already sensing danger. The people, want to jump out of that pot. But you know what? I mean, our instincts are screwed up. Okay? I mean, nothing is the way it should be because we're being manipulated by evildoers that create the policies we're all forced to live under from birth, while they exempt themselves. Like a big fat board game, they choose the rules. They rig them any which way they want. They can update them at will because they're willing to do anything to get their way. That's why they rule over us. Okay, well, normal people instinctively care about things like conscience. They care about integrity, honor, reputation. They care about things like this, their soul. If they don't believe in God, it's possible I have a soul. Maybe this is true. And you just buy some free insurance. I mean, look, friends, if you just love another human being, you could say you're an atheist all day long, but I strongly contend you love God. If you love a human being who is made in the image and likeness of God, okay, then you love God by extension, by loving a human being. You're loving his creation. So already you're under that umbrella of grace. I mean, you're a recipient of the great advantages to knowing a good and holy and righteous God. Okay, this is the one that's going to lead you out of Babylon, lead me out of Babylon, lead us, this civilization, out of Babylon, and help us to contend one day at a time with this acute paradigm, okay, that we're all forced to live under. I mean, we got to get it. Basically, when Jesus would say something like, you must hate your life in this world, you must hate your mother, father, and brother and sister, and all this it's like a comparison to the love we should have for God, for God being such a good God. Okay, and the relationship he wants, the fact that his yoke is easy, his load is light. I mean, you talk about the path of least resistance. God's the only one that has the true path of least resistance. That's it, man. It just, come to invite the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth into your life, into your heart and your mind, your spirit, your soul, your whole essence, your being, who you are, who you choose to be one day at a time.